Well, here we are. Well, we're almost there. We were there a second ago. Now we're back again. I don't know what that was. Joe Chaffee, Fios One News Long Island and Fios One News New Jersey.
And Joe Rayo, Fios One News Lower Hudson Valley, on the eve of our next attempt to make the snow lovers happy, Joe.
Right. Angry Ben of Angry Ben's Angry Weather, Ben Scott. He is also on board tonight. Getting a few others joining. We've got Dan Trachtenberg, Doreen Peasy, Jason Schaefer, John Catallo, Emily Malloy. Hi to everybody, and I'm sure there'll be more joining on board. One of the things, Joe, when I was looking at, we're going to look at the new NAM, which is coming out right now, and it's out far enough to take us through tomorrow night into Thursday. There's so much noise on the weather maps across the country. You've got so many of these little systems running around, and it just makes things very messy to forecast.
Kind of like field mice.
Yeah, when you're dealing with one big storm, that's what you're dealing with.
Right.
You've got that one big storm in front of you, but when you have all these little pieces running around with three lows basically on top of each other, it just makes, I think it makes the models somewhat chaotic, even in the shorter range. So, I want to be a little bit careful about tomorrow night. It looks innocent enough, and yet at the same time, I can envision with this noise that's out there that, there might be some spot surprises here and there.
Well, the one thing that we should stress right off the bat, right off the get-go, is the fact that today was an unseasonably cold day. Normally, in the tri-state area, the afternoon highs peak in the lower 40s, and at least in the Hudson Valley, nobody got out of the 30s today, and it's going to be all the colder tomorrow, at least 6 to 8 degrees colder. There'll be spots tomorrow that don't even break out of the 20s, and that's pretty significant, I think. I know it's February, and I know people associate cold, wintry weather with February, but now we're practically out of February. March will begin in a few days, and those temperatures are going to be more reminiscent of the kind of readings you would expect, let's say, a month ago.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, with respect to the noise factor here on the weather maps, you basically, Joe, you've got 4 weather systems here. This is the NAM for tomorrow morning. You've got 4 weather systems here that are all kind of impacting each other. You've got the old big storm, which is at this point moving east of Newfoundland and inching its way toward southern Greenland. You've got this low that is coming out from a long train of moisture that goes all the way back out into the central Pacific. If you actually follow that trail on the satellite loop in a minute, I'll bring it up. And then you've got these 2 weak systems, one that is in the eastern Gulf now that's going to move off the southeast coast. There's another low that's going to form behind it, and you're starting to see a little energy from that. Each one of these pieces has an impact on the outcome of the other. And when you have all this running around, sometimes models do weird things. They don't handle things right. So here's the new NAM. We'll take it out, which with this first area of snow coming in tomorrow morning, Joe, on the radar. This is at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I wonder how much of this is actually going to reach the ground with the dry air.
Right. Well, that's a question that can be answered quickly enough.
Close me. You get out of that and minimize.
No.
And I'll just roll the NAM along.
And we'll go down here. We'll see what the R1 level on the FOOS indicates. And if it's rather dry, I generally say below 80%, we're looking at the potential of Virga, and that may very well happen. I'm not too used to doing this sort of thing on the.
You do that. I'm going to run the NAM on the board here, and the first batch of snow goes up into New England, and then you start to see, what are these weak ocean lows? You got 3 of them here. I mean, there's one off the Virginia coast. There's another one off the Carolina coast. There's baggy lower pressure in the northeastern Gulf of Mexico. I mean, this is just an incredible mess. And you've got no support for any of this to develop into anything of substance.
Oh,
Not yet. It's
we're
too
not.
early.
Yeah, we're not too early. We're only out to 51 hours.
Okay, so
57 hours.
you know, you got so it's all really about you got this area from the north coming down. It's kind of funny, Joe. The low the weak low that's off the Virginia coast is actually a very little bit of precip enhancement coming in from off the ocean. I saw a few of the short-term models indicate this, and then it kind of the southern edge gets to about the south shore of Long Island, just south of Route 78 in New Jersey. So you put down what you put down. You might do a little better as you get up into the Hudson Valley and into Connecticut. Especially north of Route 15, I would think.
Well, again, this we mentioned yesterday that this snow, number one, is going to be a low-density, puffy, powdery type of snow, which is something we haven't seen all that much of. Also, this does not look like it's going to make any kind of a changeover to sleet, ice, or even plain rain.
Right.
So it's going to stay snow all straight through. I kidded my wife. I said, Thursday morning I may actually break the snowblower out. Not the real snowblower, but the other snowblower, my leaf blower, to get rid of the snow, because it looks like it'll be of the kind of consistency where it could easily be blown off. Let's say my deck and front stoop. So it's there. It's a cheap thrill, I guess, for the snow lovers who haven't had much to be happy about so far this winter season, and it's going to be a question of how much of this is going to be coming from the northern stream system,
and whether there'll be any ocean. If there's going to be a little bit of ocean enhancement. That's the one thing that I guess I kind of fear a little bit for Long Island and southern Connecticut, that there's a little last minute ocean enhancement here. I mean, look, we're talking upside here. The difference between getting a coating to maybe getting an inch or two.
Right.
Okay, it's not like we're talking about getting a coating and getting 6, God forbid. But by the way, I don't know if you noticed this, but after that goes out, now we've got this next one that comes up for Thursday night and Friday morning. Now, this was supposed to weaken, and all of a sudden on the NAM, at least as of, which is as far out as we have right now, which is the 57 hour, which is at 4 a.m. on Friday, if you believe this, it's snowing and pretty steadily over Maryland, northeastern Virginia, the southern part of Pennsylvania, and the southern half of New Jersey. You got this weak low, and you have high pressure up in northern Vermont, New Hampshire. But again, Joe, look at this. I mean, you've got a low center in western South Carolina. There's another low, so closed isobar here in eastern North Carolina. You've got this another system that's way out to the east, the leftovers from whatever happens Wednesday night into Thursday. You got another low that's way out to the east of that. And yet there's even lower pressure that's starting another little short wave. It looks like down and back in Louisiana. These weak systems are they just drive you crazy.
Right.
It's trying to figure them out. It is a real challenge here.
I mentioned on my Friday forecast for the Lower Hudson Valley a chance for some early flakes, because I wasn't really quite sure what to make of the Friday potential. And I was having enough problems just trying to figure out about the snows.
I left it out.
Night or whatever.
I just left it out.
And then we have something on Monday.
Right. Well,
Monday.
Let's get to that in a second, because I have an opinion, and you know what happens when I have an opinion.
Okay. Well, first of all, we had the 60 hours out. So
a whopping 500s at LaGuardia, if I'm doing my eyesight is correct. So we got 302. That's 5.
And 5, and that's it.
Boston gets 19, 27, 2900s. Yeah, because the NAM basally puts the city and the South Shore of Long Island right on the edge, so it's not going to show very much.
Now take a look here. From 12 hour and 18 hours, the R1 level of relative humidity, the lowest level of the atmosphere, is 63 and 67%. That ain't going to cut it.
Yeah.
If you want to see snow, it may be snowing a lot, but it ain't going to make it down to the
ground. Well, that's
ground.
1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right, and 81 at 24 hours, which means that, according to the FOOS, at least at LaGuardia, that finally, by about 7 o'clock in the evening, all levels of the atmosphere will be moist enough so that, or at least the lowest level will be moist enough so that we would have a shot at seeing some snow.
And of course, if you believe this HRRR model, which admittedly has been god awful, just so everybody knows, it basically slides the area to the north out, has next to nothing here tomorrow night into Thursday, which is always the possibility that you just wind up sliding something by further north. One of the things I was thinking about was whether that low to the northeast, that big low to the northeast, if that's a little bit slower to pull out of the way, that it might be enough to shift everything a handful of miles further south. I think we have to be a little careful about this. But one of the things that the HRRR model, I think one takeaway from it is the fact that here too, I mean, you've got all this noise, all of these little lows running around. They're all having impact on each other.
What did the 3 kilometer?
Well, let's take a look. I don't know if it's out far enough, but that's...
Yeah, that kind of runs behind, I guess. Yeah.
It does run a little behind. So it's only out to 45 hours. So we'll take a look at that. Let me just make sure everybody's got this front and center on the screen. Maps, by the way, courtesy of tropicaltidbits.com. We always want to make sure we say a big thank you to Levi Cowan for being so kind to let us use the map. So here's that first batch Wednesday afternoon. That's kind of this arm. It's almost like a warm front there.
Right.
And then you start to get this little... See how it just kind of enhances all this precip that pops up off the ocean and comes in
right.
During the evening. And then, well, I mean, it brings it down. You know, it's a glancing push here.
You know, it's also interesting looking at the NAMFOOS, the tabular information. They have vertical motion, positive vertical motion, through 24 hours. Then after 7 o'clock, all of a sudden we go into subsidence.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to get anything out of that?
Did you happen to notice at 60 hours?
At 60 hours? That's more than what we're anticipating for tomorrow night.
That's for Friday. That's the Thursday night into Friday morning.
That's
and by the way, this is one of the reasons why.
And that would be snow. 35, 97. That's,
look
that's
at
snow.
this. Look at this. Ready?
Yeah.
This is Thursday night, Friday morning.
Look at that. Look at that, folks.
You know, this sort of weak, innocent. No, look, we gotta figure this out. Obviously, the same thing applies. You know what I was saying about the fact that with all the noise around, you got to watch out for some surprises. Maybe the surprise will be Thursday night and a Friday morning.
That'll be the Gomer Pyle surprise, surprise, surprise.
So this goes out to 63 hours. So that takes us into. So it wouldn't start snowing until about 4 a.m. Friday, and then this is at 10 a.m. So I would bet on the next, as soon as the next map is available, it'll be almost done. But I'd be curious as to, you know, how much follow through are we going to see from some of the, you know, there are a few other models that are trying to do something similar to this on Friday, and a few others that are kind of squashing it down. But we're stuck at 63 hours. So you know what? We'll come back to this in a second. Let me just make a point here. You know, talking about the weather, the system, a system maybe for early next week. I just find it really laughable in a year. Really, I think it's just laughable that here we are on Tuesday in a year, in a season where the one model that's really doing all of this is the European model.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And it didn't really go all that crazy. It's got a low coming up for Sunday night and Monday. Fine. All right. I grant you that. But in a winter where you've gotten very little snow, okay, you have basically been if you've bought it, you have been burned virtually on a day-to-day basis because the European has a snowstorm on every run every day.
Right.
Okay, so you've been burned continuously, and yet I'm hearing and I'm seeing and I'm getting messages about and have also heard personally people bringing up specifics with regards to potential for something for on Monday. Now, why you would even go down that road now, considering everything that's happened in the last couple of months? Is it really that necessary? I haven't thought. This is really, you know, the first time that I've actually broached the subject today. I haven't really touched upon it in any of my posts. I went into the whole upper air on my YouTube live stream to describe the chaotic nature of what the models are doing over the weekend and next week. But Joe, for the life of me, why would you do this now? It makes no sense to me.
Because they keep groping and hoping that this is going to be the turnaround, so to speak, for the... It's kind of like Mariano Rivera of the Yankees, and Mariano never did this. Even though I am a Met fan, I do respect Mariano. But it's like Mariano Rivera having a particular year where all of a sudden he's blown like 5 out of 7 potential save opportunities. And the European, the king, as it has been known ever since the days of when it predicted the path of Sandy back in 2011. There's been good years and bad years for the European. This has not been a good year for the European.
No, it really hasn't.
And certainly you should not look at the European and put any money down on anything 6 days in advance.
But in a time frame, in the forecast time frame that we're referring to, is exactly in the time frame where the European has been hideous, absolutely hideous on a run-by-run basis. Every run that I have looked at for days now, days and days and days, has something 7 to 10 days out. Every single one. Right. None of them have happened yet. Right. By the way, Joe, watch this train. Okay, you got first low. Okay, here comes second low for Friday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning, which now, at least for the folks in Southern PA, might want to pay attention to this if we get some confirmation. And then yet here's another one. This is for at 75 hours coming up Friday night into Saturday.
Now this is the one that purportedly is coming with milder air and would be more of a rain situation than a snow situation.
Is it really going to come with milder air? Is each one of these?
I thought we were talking about a Saturday system that was going to be the primary was going to go flying up through the Great Lakes again.
Doesn't look like that's going to happen here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something moving across the lakes. It's very, very weak.
Right.
You got this high that's just, kind of parked itself there in southeastern Canada. We need 3 more frames of this. I don't know. Look, folks. I just to show you, at least in terms of the here, let me bring. And I brought the visual down, but here's the first one, minor. Second one, I mean, it's fast. It's basically a handful of hours and done. And then you've got something right behind it for it looks like sometime Saturday morning. Just want to look. You look at the upper air with this. Look how flat everything is.
Right.
There is there's a bit of a kink here in the flow. There is a short wave moving through the Tennessee Valley with that system that follows from Friday night into Saturday. So at least there's some a little bit of support for that. But I've been kind of describing this. It's like looking at a stack of pancakes. In terms of the west-east flow. It's just so flat. It's hard to see how you're going to get much of anything out of any of these weak systems. But, hey, sometimes every once in a while something surprises. I don't know. It's a very tough call as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the interesting thing is also our friends at the Climate Prediction Center on their 6 to 10 day outlook. And the 6th day is this coming Monday, March the 4th. And they are indicating that during that time frame into early next week, that it's actually going to be quite dry, a drier than normal period. Not much in the way of precipitation up here, which doesn't favor, if you're thinking about a coastal storm that's going to bring significant amounts of snow or rain to our area at the beginning of next week. That doesn't fall into their thinking, because they're thinking that, next week it's going to be.
Well, here's the problem. With respect to trying to get something to come up the coast, I'm going to just pull up, 2 of the maps that I was looking at today, the European and the GFS in the Atlantic. Now, the European does what it does early next week because it has a much better defined upper air. This upper low that's in eastern Canada, and you've got these arms that are rotating around it. So this would kind of support a wave of some kind running up the coast. It also, and this is a big deal here, it's got this, system in the central Atlantic that drives a trough southward and pops a ridge up in between. So you get some backing here. You get a wave in the right spot. It's going to wind up trying to come up the coast. Mm-hmm. The problem is that that's the European, and you look at the GFS, which doesn't have that look. It has the ridge more out in the central Atlantic. There's no upper low there to bring a ridge up off the southeast coast and bring it up toward Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. So as a result, you've got this like almost amorphous blob in the way the jet stream is set up across the eastern half of the United States. There's no definition to it. So all you would wind up doing with something like this is getting a weather system to develop on a front that gets suppressed way to the south. So one of these models is wrong about the way it looks out in the central Atlantic. You've got the GFS here, you've got the European here, and they're going to have to figure this out.
Look at the moisture field on the 12Z European. This is for that Friday morning event. Look where that Friday morning event is. It's all the way down in the lower Delmarva Peninsula.
Now, is this the 12? This was the 12Z?
This is the 12Z.
See, take a look at the 18, which nobody gets to see, the secret one. You know, we'll just get to describe it to you, folks. We won't be able to show it to you. So Joe's bringing that up. I'm going to bring this back down here and pop you guys up on the... Addison is on. You're okay with missing out on any big storms this season, Addison? Oh, I'm sure. By the way, we left the forecast, that your snow forecast, exactly the way you left it this morning. We didn't change a thing, didn't we, Joe?
No, we did not.
We left it exactly the same. So when you come in tomorrow morning, it'll be exactly the same. So you get to change it again. Silvio Balzano, nice to see you. Francis Benoit, Jason Kaplan. A lot of my top fans are on here, Joe. Addison's not a top fan, though. I don't see the icon there, Addison. And
now take a look at the... you can see it's a little further north. It would bring something up to about central New Jersey on the 18Z European.
Right.
But then it kind of...
And it's a little colder, too, isn't it? That 540s,
yeah.
It gets it close. What's that, 90 hours?
This is... yeah, that's 90 hours, yeah.
All right, so it's got precip here. 90 hours is...
But on Friday morning, when the NAM is giving us a snowstorm, the Europeans still insist upon keeping whatever is down there.
Well, I would just also be careful, because the European, up until today, didn't even show this system that's going by for tomorrow night into Thursday.
Right. So,
you know, it might be a little bit behind the 8 ball here.
Okay. Well.
And yes, that's, I forgot, Scott. Thanks for reminding me. Lay Parallel GFS, which was supposed to start on the 20th of March, it ain't starting.
It ain't starting.
Okay, you know, I don't know where they found this out, but somehow they got the impression that the Parallel GFS was just a little bit too cold by us and produced just a little bit too much snow. So they have pulled it
back to the drawing board
until they could figure it out. I still think that would
makes me feel good. I don't know about you.
You know, it seems like the more data they try to squeeze into these models, the worse that they get. You wonder, you know,
the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Too much information. You know, I honestly, I'm really feeling that way, and I'm not alone. That sentiment has been expressed by several people that I know, and are, you know, pretty smart guys, and they're kind of thinking along the same lines, that maybe there's just a little bit too much information in the quest of making it better. They might be at the point now where they're actually making them worse. But anyway, let's pull up the rest of the NAM, because it's here. This is so exciting, Joe. It's riveting. It's like winning an Oscar, waiting for them to open the envelope up.
And you know what, Joe? It's so sad, because in a couple of weeks we won't be able to do this for our viewers, because
because us
back on that stupid daylight saving time. Oh God!
So actually, this is as far out as it goes. This is Saturday morning. There's no low going to the lakes with this. You got more energy coming out of to the west. Let me just really quick. We'll pop up the upper air. Yeah, look.
Sam, so what happened? What happened to that Great Lakes system?
Well, you know, with all these little, you know, here's the energy. The energy for the Great Lakes system is coming into the northwest there, and it just gets lost. Yeah. I mean, that's a. Let me look at it on the other view. I like you looking at this view, because you can see the jet streaks. So this was supposed to basically come along and just either get kicked east,
or whatever,
as that upper low in Canada drops down and rotates around, but it looks like it's going to get kicked more straight to the east, in which case you're not going to have a low that's going to try to go to the lakes. I don't know. This is too much.
And you see, the confusing thing is that for the event of Sunday night and Monday, that everybody is, all the snow lovers are, you know, pinning their hopes on, you really can't say anything about it until we rectify what the heck is going to happen over the weekend. We don't know
exactly correct. Yeah. Until we can figure out the impact of all these little weather systems on each other as we go down the road over the next 3 or 4 days, you can keep expecting models to move to keep changing. changing perspective from run to run. So
Like
we're going to be on a bit of a roller coaster ride for a while.
A dysfunctional game of meteorological chess.
Correct.
If you will.
All right. So you know what? At this point, let's call it a night. And you know, you can rest assured that whatever's going to be going on over the next couple of days, that we will attempt to take it apart in a very, you know, calm, mild-mannered way, and you know, you're not going to walk.
When the heck are we going to have anything going?
Was that necessary? Really, Joe, right in my ear.
I'm sorry.
You melted the wax. All right. We've got the top of the hour coming, and I will probably have to sign language it. Fios One News. Fios One News Long. I know. Fios One News Long Island and Fios One News New Jersey. Just kind of tilt your head a little to one side.
And Joe Rayo, Fios One News, Lower Hudson Valley. And guess what, folks? Tomorrow night we'll be in the midst of a
snow shower.
Of this amazing snow event.
Of the coating to an inch.
Whatever.
All right. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.